Marijuana is often seen as a calming escape, but in a mind designed for complexity, it becomes something else entirely. A mirror reflecting the intricate, sometimes chaotic wiring within. This isn't a debate about good or bad. This is a psychological experiment, an exploration of the profound marijuana effects on the brain, especially one that's already working in overdrive. So, ask yourself this: what if marijuana doesn't just alter how you feel, but who you think you are? In the next few minutes, we're dissecting 7 radical effects that only reveal themselves in intelligent minds. First, neurological sensitivity. The intelligent brain is not a normal brain. It often has a higher density of dopamine receptors, meaning it's wired for intense focus, reward, and pattern recognition. When THC enters this system, it doesn't just gently press a button, it pulls a fire alarm. The resulting dopamine flood isn't just pleasure, it's a sensory detonation. Thoughts don't just wander, they ricochet. This is why for many gifted individuals, marijuana isn't a sedative, it's an amplifier. The very analytical overload they seek to escape from becomes magnified, turning a quiet room into a mental stadium. This overstimulation is a key reason why many intelligent users eventually swing to the opposite extreme, seeking out a dopamine detox. They crave silence, not more noise. They're not trying to get high anymore. They're trying to come down from their own mind. The substance becomes a tool for forced stress management, a way to unplug the machine, even if it means short-circuiting it for a few hours. Second, hyper-awareness and dissociation. This is the effect that even neuroscientists can't fully explain. For an analytical mind, THC can trigger a state of profound self-observation. You aren't just thinking, you are watching yourself think. This can be illuminating, but it walks a razor's edge. On one side is expanded awareness. On the other, derealization and depersonalization from marijuana. Derealization is the feeling that the world around you isn't real. Depersonalization is the chilling sensation that you aren't real, that you're merely an observer piloting a body. The intelligent mind gets caught in a terrifying loop. It becomes hyper-aware of its own consciousness, begins to overanalyze the sensation of being, and detaches from its own identity. It's a dizzying spiral. Some attempt to harness this through marijuana meditation, seeking cosmic insight. But without a strong anchor to reality, it quickly morphs into anxiety. You're not high. You're lost in yourself, a ghost in your own machine. The line between observer and prisoner becomes terrifyingly thin. Third, the paradox of creativity versus productivity. Under the influence, the intelligent mind can become a kaleidoscope of connections. Logic barriers dissolve. Ideas that were locked in separate mental filing cabinets are suddenly cross-pollinating, creating brilliant, unorthodox solutions. It feels like genius. This is the mental fireworks display that many creatives chase. But here's the catch. As the mind blooms, the body freezes. The brain is running a marathon of thought, but the will to act is completely sedated. This creates the grand illusion of accomplishment. You feel as if you've solved the world's problems, but you haven't moved from the couch. The most disciplined thinkers recognize this trap. Their rule is simple. If it's insight you want, take notes while high, act when sober. This is a form of cognitive reframing, turning what could be guilt over laziness into a structured creative process. But for many, this is where the addiction mindset takes root. Not an addiction to the plant itself, but to the feeling of effortless brilliance, forever chasing the flash of insight without the hard work of execution. Fourth, the illusion of insight. Not every thought that feels profound actually is. THC has a unique ability to drape a velvet cloak of importance over even the most mundane ideas. A random memory connected to a lyric in a song suddenly feels like a key to unlocking your entire past. The intelligent mind, which is already a pattern-matching engine, goes into overdrive. It finds meaning where there is only noise. This is the great deception. The mind is trained to believe its own conclusions, especially when they feel emotionally resonant. So, how do you separate the diamonds from the dust? The sober test. If an idea still holds weight, If it still makes logical and intuitive sense in the clear light of day, then it's real. If not, it was just a chemical illusion. This is why journaling during these states is crucial. You have to catch your thoughts before they swim away, so you can examine them later without the intoxicating filter. Learning to perform this kind of cognitive reframing is the difference between using the substance as a tool and being used by it. Fifth, the long-term effects. This brings us to our fifth effect, the one that explains why intelligent minds often use marijuana not for escape, but for protection. The stereotype is that heavy use burns you out. But for the highly intelligent, it doesn't destroy, it dulls, softly. An overactive mind can be a painful place to live. Constant analysis, anxiety, and self-criticism create a non-stop internal noise. THC acts as a mental muffler. It doesn't solve the problems, but it lowers the volume. It softens the sharp edges of an unforgiving intellect, acting as a form of self-medication or emotional armor. This is a subtle but powerful form of the addiction mindset. It's not about chasing a high, it's about running from a baseline that feels too intense. The dependence isn't on the feeling of being stoned, but on the relief of feeling less. This is why learning how to get marijuana out of your system is a psychological challenge, not just a biological one. You have to replace the artificial quiet with natural clarity, using tools like a disciplined dopamine detox, cold exposure, or focused breathwork to calm the nervous system without the chemical crutch. Sixth, spiritual escapism. The human mind craves transcendence, and the intelligent mind craves it most of all. We seek moments of unity, of ego dissolution, of profound peace where the chatter finally stops. Marijuana can simulate these states with alarming accuracy. It can produce feelings of oneness with the universe, a temporary silencing of the inner critic, and a sense of timelessness. These sensations are remarkably similar to the states achieved through years of dedicated meditation. But here lies the critical difference. One is earned, the other is borrowed. Earned awareness, born from discipline, is stable and integrated. Simulated awareness is fleeting and requires an external trigger. Some use marijuana meditation as a doorway, a way to glimpse what's possible, hoping to find their way back there sober. But it's a risky path. It's like getting a cheat code for enlightenment, but the code expires, leaving you back at the start. It's a form of stress management for the soul, a desperate attempt to pause a mind that never stops. There is no crime in needing peace, but it is dangerous to confuse peace with escape. And seventh, identity alteration. Perhaps the most radical effect is on your very sense of self. Under normal circumstances, our minds are fortresses protected by ego, defense mechanisms, and ingrained beliefs. THC acts like a key that unlocks the gates. Suddenly, buried insecurities, suppressed memories, and distorted self-concepts can rise to the surface. For intelligent people, who are often their own harshest critics, this can be brutal. The cognitive bias known as disqualifying the positive gets amplified. They meticulously overanalyze every flaw while completely dismissing their strengths. But there is another side to this. This process can also force a profound shift in perspective. You move from being the one controlling your thoughts to being the one watching them pass by like clouds. Through this lens, you begin to see your identity not as a fixed monument, but as a fluid story. This is where cognitive reframing becomes a survival skill. You learn to detach from the narratives THC dredges up. In that mental movie playing in your head, not every thought is the main character. Some are just commercials. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness observing them. So, what do we do with this knowledge? Marijuana isn't the villain, unawareness is. For the intelligent mind, the journey isn't about simple abstinence, but about achieving mastery over one's own consciousness. It's about understanding the delicate balance of your own dopamine system, learning to use cognitive reframing to separate illusion from insight, and managing the strange dance of dissociation. It's about building a mind so resilient that it no longer needs to be sedated. If you truly want to reset your clarity, try a dopamine detox for just 7 days. Put down the chemical tools and see what your mind can build on its own. Watch what happens, because maybe the real high isn't in escaping your mind, but finally learning to live inside it.